Uprooted Theatrical Studios presents.
It's 10 Tips Tuesday.
Hi, I'm Tori, and these are my 10 tips for your first year teaching in the arts, and more specifically, theater arts. And welcome to my stage. I'm currently sitting on the floor, but I feel like this kind of describes my life as a theater teacher, as I'm consistently always sitting on the floor or sitting on my stage. So, here we are. Alright, so tip number 1, and this is my most important tip. Get to know your students. I cannot emphasize this enough to you. This will make or break your teaching career. The reason why I say that is because whenever you're creating your lesson plans, yes, you do in fact need to hit your standards, but you also need to involve your students in your lessons. What I mean by that is involve things that they enjoy, involve things that they're doing in their lives or what's going on for them right now. I can't tell you the amount of times my kids have asked to repeat a lesson that I did simply because I involved the game Among Us in my lesson. They loved it because it was something they knew and it's something that they enjoyed. And I still hit my standards and we still got to do a theater activity. So win-win on both ends. Tip number 2. Plan ahead. I wish I could tell myself this before now. Because the reason I say plan ahead is because you will be surprised how quickly a school year moves, and especially how quickly your life or just like the weeks of school move. I would always tell myself, oh, I have so much time. I have a couple weeks. I have a couple months. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden I'm scrambling to get everything together. So it will benefit you to plan ahead, because then you're not stressed out at the very end and making careless mistakes for things you could have planned so much earlier. And it could have all been done and it would have been fine. Tip number 3, be flexible. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this. You're kind of the bottom of the totem pole. And I don't say that to make you sad or to discourage you, but in school, your core classes are the most important. That doesn't make your class unimportant, it just makes it not a core class. So you have to be willing to switch up your lesson plans, switch up your times, just kind of switch up what you're doing. Be willing to roll with the punches. Don't take everything so personally. Tip number 4, learn all you can now. As a theater teacher, you're kind of a one-woman show. You need to know how to do sets, lights, costumes, props, direct, stage manage, be a musical director, everything under the sun. So learn all you can now, so you can better prepare yourself for when you walk into that classroom or you walk into a theater, and you can start doing things and you can do them yourself. Tip number 5, beware of teacher burnout and the teacher tired. So, I don't think I've ever been more exhausted in my life than probably my first 2 weeks of teaching. Because you are up from the crack of dawn to basically the end of the day. Because you have a lot you need to get done. You have lessons to make, papers to grade, emails to respond to, productions to plan, auditions to do, and everything else. And next thing you know, you are sitting at school at 6 o'clock at night. So, let me tell you now, give yourself restrictions. Tell yourself that at 4:30 today, I am leaving school. It does not matter how far I got on my lesson plans. It doesn't matter if I have unread emails in my inbox. You have to take care of yourself, because if you don't, you're going to experience teacher burnout, and then you're no good to your students, and you're no good to anyone else, because you can't give them what they need because you've burnt out yourself. And trust me, the kids notice when you do. They notice when you're exhausted, and they notice when you are struggling. And especially as middle schoolers, they aren't afraid to tell you. Tip number 6, make friends with everyone. This includes not only people in your school building, but also people in your community. Your community will help you when you help them. For example, for production, you may want to offer local businesses the opportunity to cater, or you might want to tell local businesses that they can have their business name in your program and that they support your program, because what you invest in them, they'll invest in back to you. And then you get the perks of investing in them, because then you get like free meals, or they'll videotape your performance for free, just because they want to put their name out there and they want to also support the kids in their community and the schools in their community. So, make friends with everyone. Also, in regards to making friends in your school building, you can't do it by yourself. As much as you like to think you can, you can't. You need help. So, be nice to everyone. Also, that's just kind of a rule of thumb in life in general. But, seriously, make friends with people. Tip number 7, let go of your pride. And trust me, this is a hard one for me. You have to let go of your pride and ask for help. It's not a bad thing to ask for help. You're a first-year teacher. It's kind of expected of you. You won't know everything from the get-go. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask, oh, what did the person do before me? Or how do you think I should do this? Or what's the best way to do that? Because they've been here at the school longer than you, or they've taught longer than you. They probably have a wealth of information you're missing out on if you just don't simply ask. It's okay to ask. Tip number 8, you're going to suck. Yeah, you heard me right. You're going to suck. There's going to be days where your lesson plans flop, and they are the worst lesson plans you have ever done. Trust me, I've had many weeks where I thought a lesson was going to go fantastic, and then I went through that first block of classes, and I'm like, that could have not gone worse. So, go ahead and accept the fact that there's going to be points in times where you suck. That's not bad. You're growing. Again, you're a first-year teacher. You've never done this before. You're going to have times where you are the worst, but there's also going to be times where you are going to knock it out of the park. So, be okay with failing at points. If you didn't fail, you wouldn't know things didn't work. You grow from it as a teacher. Trust me. Tip number 9. Teach your kids to have a growth mindset, especially in a performing arts. The reason why I say this is because many students, when they come into performing arts, especially theater or choir or band or something like that, they are perfectionists. They are the people who want to be the absolute best. Teach them that it's okay to not be great at everything. That to be good, it's going to take hard work and it's going to take practice. You're not going to be perfect at everything when you first start it. And that's something you have to instill in your kids, because sometimes, they're just not going to be good at something. And that's really hard to accept, just as it's hard for you to accept when you're not good at something. You need to teach them that it's okay to be bad, but I have to work to be better. Tip number 10. Make your classroom a safe space. But even when you make it a safe space, you don't necessarily need to be the kid's best friend. Now, as a first-year teacher, I definitely came into this going, all the kids are going to love me. I'm young and I'm hip and I'm cool and I'm going to be their best friend and I'm going to be their favorite, etc., etc., etc. Well, I very quickly realized within my first week of teaching that yes, I do want them to like me. Yes, I do want them to feel comfortable in my classroom. However, once you lose the respect of them and you start letting them get away with something, they will push that boundary. So, take charge of your classroom. This is your classroom. This is your space. Take charge of it. Now, take that with a grain of salt. You don't need to have such a tight grip on the reins that you don't allow kids to have fun in your classroom, but you also need to make sure that your classroom is controlled and that the kids see you as their teacher, not as their best friend. You can have best friends outside of school. Your students aren't the people you need to be your best friend. But those are my 10 tips. I hope they're helpful. But if you are interested in this career or you're looking into it, I highly suggest it. This has been the most wonderful experience for me so far, even in the midst of a crazy school year, because there's something so magical about having kids finally get it. You know, like that moment that they all of a sudden realize that, oh, I can in fact do this. Like, I have the ability to do this. Or they find out that they love it and this is what they want to do. And there's just something so magical about that moment. Like, I can't describe it to you, but there's something so cool about it. And there's just also something so neat about getting to be around these kids at such a pivotal moment in their lives. And you will learn so much from them. So, there's my tips. And good night.